Hey gang, recently I did a video called Sweetest Fragrances, and I was asked by a few folks to do a budget-friendly version of that video, and that's what I've got for you today. This is the sweetest fragrances on a budget collection of fragrances for you. If you are into sweet fragrances and you are trying to not spend a lot of money, then this is the video for you. So find out what the fragrances are coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Sebastian and I'm talking about sweet fragrances on a budget. So the video I did before, the non-budget edition of this video, I think the fragrances were a lot sweeter. This is what I have in my collection. They're still sweet, but I think if you want something a lot sweeter, you should go check that video out. But I feel like these can come off quite sweet. I personally don't think they're as sweet. Some of them, not all of them, because we do have some sweet ones. Like starting with this one, going to the house of Swiss Arabian, it's SHAGHAF Oud. This has been very popular, although nowadays everybody's talking about vanilla toffee. I'm leaving that off the list, even though the suggested retail price for that is around $65. But these are much more easier to find at discounters, and I believe the vanilla toffee is not selling readily available yet. So SHAGHAF Oud on the other hand is Oud Pralines, vanilla, rose, and saffron. So it's sweetened up with the vanilla and pralines, but you do have that Oud rose combo here, along with a little bit of a spicy leathery touch of the saffron. So that's SHAGHAF Oud, the original. Then we also have the Oud AZRAQ, which is oud, honey, cinnamon, amber, vanilla, leather, and patchouli. For me, it does act like honey oud from Montal, but I find this one to be sweeter, whereas the Montal is more woody, I think, more like oud wood. It doesn't get sweet on me too much. This is like literally a lot of honey, and I feel like the honey in here is more similar to the honey in tobacco honey from Guerlain, but this is basically really intense honeyed, oud woody, spicy fragrance. So that's SHAGHAF Oud AZRAQ. I highly recommend that one. I really enjoy that one. The next one, we're going to the house of KORRES. This is Black Sugar, this one right here. Sadly, these bottles get like this, unfortunately. Sorry that, I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I think the liquid or the juice that spills out or leaks out when you spray it kind of interacts badly with the cap. But it's a vanillic sugary fragrance. It's quite sweet. It's ambery as well with caramel, vanilla tonka. It's powdery with heliotrope, and of course the brown sugar comes in here as well. You do get a little bit of that crystallized sugar experience when you're wearing it, but in the end it's more of like a vanillic amber gourmand. So that's Black Sugar from KORRES. Now, you can probably find the first two SHAGHAF Oud Swiss Arabian fragrances at the discounters. The KORRES you'll have to get from their own stores. Sometimes they end up at the discounters, but I would wait if you're buying it from the KORRES website or a store, a physical store, when they have a promotion. But moving on to the house of MOLINARD, this is Vanille. Here we have another one leaked as well, but this is super, super sweet. It's vanilla and lots more vanilla. I believe there's multiple different varieties of vanilla in here. So it's ambery, but very sweet, powdery. There are some light traces of things like caramel that come in here, maybe a little butterscotch, but in the end, just an overdose of sugary, sweet, syrupy vanilla. That's pretty decent here for the price point. I think they did a great job with that one. Next, going to the house of SENTEURS Gourmandes. This is Vanille Reunion. I wanted to feature Tendre Madeleine. That one seems to be uber popular. It's a community darling. And it's not as easy to find as this one, which I recently discovered on my travels in Europe. These are around 25 euros for 100 ml if you buy them in France. I think online they're about $40 to $50. You can find them. And this is mostly like a very intense vanilla once again, but this has notes of bourbon vanilla, salted caramel, heliotrope, almond flour, patchouli, apples, bergamot, white musk. It's a bit complex with the wear, but a lot of the notes in this don't come through as much. It's mostly about the vanilla. It's super, super sweet and gooey and also powdery. So this is Vanille Reunion. Actually, it's Vanille de la Reunion, as you can see on the label here. Are you guys familiar with that house? It used to be called Laurence Dumont Les Senteurs Gourmands. They've dropped the Laurence Dumont name off of their fragrances, so they are no longer, I guess, associated with Laurence Dumont. So next we have a fragrance from the house of L'Herbolario. It's another chain store like KORRES, whereas KORRES is Greek, L'Herbolario is Italian, and they have a lot of fragrances, a lot. There's a lot of products in those stores, and I've discovered this one called Argan Oil Perfume. Basically, you know, I don't use argan oil products. They were popular for a while. This to me is a nutty vanillic amber fragrance featuring hazelnuts, vanilla, amber, musk, jasmine, lily of the valley, lemons, and bergamot. So in the end, for sure you got the ambery experience. It's overdosed with the hazelnuts, so it comes off quite nutty. And of course vanilla is prominent here as well, mixing beautifully with the hazelnuts and the amber. You definitely need vanilla for something to act vanillic and balsamic and things like that. And it's definitely here. But it's a gourmand. It's a delicious gourmand with a lot of nutty notes from the hazelnuts. So that is L'Herbolario's Argan. Let me know if you're familiar with that. A lot of the products of that house are with not only a perfume, but there's a lot of other products associated with that smell. So if you've ever visited one of their stores, you know what I'm talking about. Also, I believe there is a USA store now for that. You can find them at, I believe you can find them at Amazon, but there is a USA store now. But the next fragrance going to the house of Frank Olivier, it's Oud Vanille. So this might come off a bit like SHAGHAF Oud. They're a little different. They're done in a different way. But once again, very sweet, very vanillic, and also ambery with vanilla, woodsy notes, incense, rose, patchouli, caramel, spices, raspberry, musk. It's that kind of gourmand take on an oud, rose and oud wood combo. And I think they've done a great job. It's on the budget side. It might remind you of that famous fragrance from Lancôme, Oud Bouquet. But, you know, they go in their own little directions. But in the end, they're quite sweet and gourmand, even though we're speaking about oud and rose combo. So that's Frank Olivier Oud Vanille. The next one is from the house of Mercedes-Benz, a car manufacturer. It's Club Black, this one right here. So this one is a really nice men's targeted release, which I think can be totally worn by a woman. Women would probably enjoy this one quite a bit. In fact, I think women enjoy gourmands more than men, but this is a male targeted release. In the end, it's vanilla, incense, and bergamot, but this is a sweet, spicy, powdery, ambery vanilla. That's super delicious. It's freshened up a little bit with the bergamot and of course made kind of resinous and smoky with the incense. I quite like this one. I was a late discoverer of this one, and I think it's a really, really great fragrance for the price. Lately, although it's been lacking in a lot of quantity of stock out there, so if you're on the market, get it. I think it's highly recommended by me. So that's Mercedes-Benz Club Black. And all of the fragrances that I'm speaking about today definitely will be under $100. For sure, even under around $50. But the next fragrance, this I believe is a feminine targeted release. Its guess is Seductive Red. Most likely it is a feminine targeted release. It's a sweet, syrupy take on a cherry fragrance. If you like Lost Cherry, you're probably going to like this. It's for sure almondy. It's vanillic. It's also spicy. You've got cherries, almonds, vanilla, pink pepper, tonka, cherry blossom, sandalwood, violet, and magnolia. It does come off very, very syrupy, almost like maraschino cherries. But I feel like the almonds in here does kind of tone that sweet maraschino cherry syrup experience quite a bit, including also the pink pepper that's in here to give it a bit of a spice. But in the end, I think it's a quality, budget, Lost Cherry-like fragrance. It's Guess Seductive Red. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And then we've got a fragrance that I highly, highly recommend for the price. It's around 15 bucks. 15 bucks. In fact, I actually went to their store in Dubai and bought a few of these to give as gifts to some folks I like to gift fragrances. But it's a cheap gift. And a lot of these folks that I gift this fragrance to are not really fragrance people, and they would really, really love it. So this is REHAB's Choco Musk. I brought back quite a few bottles of this. Choco Musk has been a favorite fragrance of mine for almost 10 years. And for the price, you get really quality, chocolatey, sweet vanilla fragrance. The thing I want to also warn you about, this is an older bottle. The one I bought seems to be more chocolatey now, whereas this original for me was less chocolatey. I don't know if it's a reformulation or my nose is doing something strange, but for me it used to be a lot more vanillic with chocolate as a backseat, even though it's called Choco Musk. Now the chocolate is front and forward and the vanilla is a bit more on the backseat, but still very sweet, very musky, super delicious, gourmand on the budget. You can probably buy this on Amazon. In fact, I'll link it in the info box for around 15 bucks. Yes, the bottle is ugly as heck, but the juice inside doesn't disappoint. All right, the next fragrance going to the house of Zara. It's Sand Desert at Sunset Intense. I much prefer the intense version of this versus the original Sand Desert at Sunset. This actually smells really, really great for a Zara fragrance. To me, this version hints at Angel's Share a lot more than the original. And when I say a lot more, whereas the other one didn't really remind me of it, this one does. But I don't think it's a dupe. But still, it's a great gourmand with incense, oranges, cinnamon, tonka, chocolate, cedarwood, iris, amber, and vanilla. This, I don't think will be around too long. If you're in the market for something like this, get it now because it'll probably disappear. I don't think a lot of fragrances stick around at Zara. The other thing is this is a male-targeted release, but still very unisex. So that is Sand Desert at Sunset Intense from Zara. And one more Zara fragrance. It's Tobacco Collection Rich, Warm, Addictive. Super on the cheap side, but kind of coconutty, creamy vanilla rum. I also get chocolatey booziness for sure with the rum, but there's almost like a chocolate milky effect happening here. It's vanilla, rum, white peony, and also coconuts. I get coconuts with this one. It's almost like chocolate milk with coconuts, coconut milk kind of a thing. You do get that. It's not the same as the original of this. I like the original a little more, but I think for around 20 bucks, this is definitely worth it if you're on a budget with your fragrances. So this is Tobacco Collection Rich, Warm, Addictive from the house of Zara. Then we're going to the house of Le Monde Gourmand. It's Le Soda Pop, this one right here. You like a fizzy, sweet drink? This is definitely that. This is a collection of fragrances that are on the budget side. It's a 30 ml for 25. They also have 100 mls, which I always see at places like Marshall's and TJ Maxx. I think they're also priced quite low. They're around $25 for the 100 ml, so really, really inexpensive. I've bought a few of them from Amazon for around $25 for 30 ml. But this is Cola Accord, Jasmine, and cane sugar. It's quite fizzy, it's sparkling, it's effervescent like a cola. Just imagine opening up a can of Coke and then starting sipping, and the sparkles, the effervescence kind of hits your nose. You experience that here with this one. In the end, it's a sweet cola experience, gourmand experience. So this is Le Soda Pop from the house of Le Monde Gourmand. Let me know if you're familiar with that. All right, up next, going to the house of Lalique. This is Le Parfum, this one right here. So this is a sweet fragrance from Lalique targeted to the ladies, but I think a man can totally pull this one off. It is a kind of green-leaning vanilla fragrance with vanilla, tonka, sandalwood, heliotrope. And the greenness that comes in here is coming from the West Indian Bay, along with almonds, jasmine, and pink pepper. So there's a nice contrast in here. I think that contrast does kind of tone down the sweetness. There's spicy touches, very, very powdery touches, slight almondy touches as well. But in the end, it's very creamy, smooth, sweet, and vanillic. It's Lalique's Le Parfum. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. And then next we've got a male targeted release. This is Versace's Blue Jeans. I haven't spoken about this one for a long time. But in the end, it's a cola-esque fragrance once again, but super sugary and sweet. To me, this doesn't act very fizzy. It's cola-esque, but just imagine you've opened your can of Coke, left it open, come back the next day, it's gone flat. The sweetness of that flat cola is what I get with this one, but it's citruses, lavender, vanilla, tonka, bergamot, juniper, anise, and carnation. Really interesting creations, super, super sweet. Male targeted, but a woman can totally pull that off. It's Blue Jeans by Versace. Next, going to the house of Frank Olivier once again. We've got Amber. Amber, let me show you the Amber with the name on it here. So this is also on the budget side, and also this to me kind of reminds me of Ombre Nuit from the house of Dior. A less expensive, cheaper take on Ombre Nuit, but definitely a reminder there. I don't think it's identical, but it gives me the idea of it. So if you like that one, you can't afford it, definitely try this. See? Maybe figure out a way to get a sample. Or I don't think it's very expensive, so you can buy it, keep it on hand. But it's amber, vanilla, labdanum, patchouli, vetiver, sandalwood, bergamot, and orange. I think it's a great amber on the budget side, and definitely in the ballpark of something like Ombre Nuit from Dior. Let me know if you're familiar with amber from Frank Olivier. Put a comment down below. Next up, we've got two fragrances from the house of Comptoir Sud Pacifique, which you can find at the discounters. First of which is Amour de Cacao. Amor de Cacao is a cacao bean chocolatey fragrance, overdosed with a lot of cacao. There's vanilla bean and orange zest. So the vanilla bean and the cacao create a very sweet syrupy experience, but also very powdery. So it wears powdery on skin, but the vanilla bean sweetens it up. The cacao bean also sweetens things up. There's a sugary caramelly effect happening here. And then the orange zest is that nice contrast that goes in, almost like you're cooking. You add a zest of a citrus in your cooking ingredients to kind of like liven things up a little bit. So basically it's there to give it a nice contrast. But in the end, it's a very cacao forward, chocolatey, vanilla fragrance. Amor de Cacao. This house is known for gourmands. Like this next one, it's Vanilla Extreme. This one, or Vanille Extreme. So it's basically vanilla, heliotrope, sugar, more vanilla, and milk. So it does have a milky effect. It wears very creamy and lactonic. Also nutty. Heliotrope comes in, gives it a bit of a nutty, powdery effect. But in the end, it's just overdosed with a lot of vanilla. That's why it's called Vanilla Extreme. If you like your vanilla to be on the extreme side, this is the one you would go with. I'm a big lover of vanilla. And, you know, I do want to mention I was not a fan of vanilla at one time. In fact, way before I got into doing videos in 2012, I would tell people I hate vanilla. I would, because I didn't like it. But now I'm absolutely obsessed with it. And then I have some family also that would say the same thing right now to this day. And I would think, oh God, if you ever got into fragrances, it's not what you're going to say. But either way, this is Vanille Extreme from the house of Comptoir Sud Pacifique. Really awesome fragrance. And the last fragrance I'm going to end with here is from the house of Banana Republic, and it's tobacco and Tonka bean, this one right here. Yeah, this is a kind of a fruity Tonka tobacco fragrance. That Mirabelle plum is nicely fruity touch in there. It's purple, as you can see. They're kind of giving you the effect and the idea of the fragrance, the addition of the Mirabelle plum. But it's a lot of Tonka and it's a lot of tobacco leaf here. There's vanilla and coconut and pear in here as well. So it's fruity and it's also vanillic, gourmand, but that tobacco doesn't give you necessarily an uber smokiness, but there's some light smoky touches in here, but it's mostly about the leaf. Kind of like the tobacco leaf that's in the Juice Box 54 fragrance. But I think this is one of my favorite. I shouldn't say I think, I should say. It's one of my favorites from this house for sure. I really like the way it smells. The cherry from this house, I don't care for whatsoever, but I like this one. I like the combination of the tobacco and the Tonka with the fruity notes in there. So that's tobacco and Tonka bean from the house of Banana Republic, and that's the last fragrance for you guys. Thanks so much for watching this video of cheaper takes on sweetest fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Do you have any of them, or are you curious to get your hands and nose on them? Also, let me know what other less expensive, cheaper, inexpensive fragrances that you recommend that are also very sweet. Add a comment down below so I can find out. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. And one bonus option for you guys. We've got a fragrance from the house of Reminiscence. It's Dragée, this one right here. Dragée is a almondy fragrance take on something like Love Don't Be Shy. So this collection came at 3 bottles. There's a pink, the white, and a green one. They are now all moving into a more uniform collection of all of the Reminiscence fragrances in the same kind of bottles. The kind of bottles you're familiar with that comes with Patchouli. But Dragée for me is a really nice gourmand. You can still find it at places in these kind of bottles, but if you buy a new one, it's in the new bottles. But I like this take on something like Love Don't Be Shy, that kind of vanillic, sugary, marshmallow slashed or, you know, combined with orange blossom, and then the addition of the almonds in here that actually kind of gives me a little bit of a very dessert-like experience from the Middle East. Almost like Jordan almonds kind of experience. It's super delicious. This is Reminiscence Dragée. If you can find it, get it in that bottle, but as I said, it's not at the discounted price with the new bottles. This particular bottle I think you can still find online for around 50 bucks. Either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. Stay tuned for another video very soon. Bye-bye.